Welcome to Weed Witches! I'm Tanuki.
I'm Tatiana.
And today we saw Star Wars The Force Awakens.
May the Force be with you.
And while we talk about the movie, we're going to smoke this Ewok 1 gram pre-roll from Kush Farms Incorporated that we got at the Crock Pot here in Port Orchard for $6. Oh.
Oh, you opened that and the whole car just...
Very green smelling.
kind of earthy.
A little loosely packed.
But that tends to be... Where's this from?
The Crock Pot. And Kush Farms Incorporated. Do you have the lighter? Oh, there it is. All right.
Yes, the lighter is somewhere.
Oh.
Whoa, that is very loosely packed. Ew. I don't like it.
It tastes like fireworks.
It does. It tastes like they smell.
So, Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Stop dying.
Jesus, this weed. So, the movie is definitely better than the prequels. Spoilers, by the way. If you want to skip...
Lots and lots and lots.
If you want to skip the review part of this, then just skip forward towards the end and we'll tell you about the weed. So anyway, the movie pretty closely follows the basic plot line of the original Star Wars.
It's the old-fashioned recipe.
It's like there's a poor person on a desert planet and they get swept up into this whole thing because of a droid. And then it turns out that they're, the universe's most powerful Force user. They get a mentor briefly who then gets killed by the big bad, who's a dark side user and has a red lightsaber. There's the Millennium Falcon, there's Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, 3PO. R2 makes a very brief appearance at the end. Just went out. So, plotline-wise, yeah, it pretty much follows the original. Even down to the point where there's, like, a trench battle with X-Wings on a Death Star thing. Only this Death Star is, like, much bigger than the old Death Star.
Planet-sized.
Yeah, it's not moon-sized, it's planet-sized.
And it's powered by a sun.
And instead of destroying one planet at a time, it destroys a whole system at a time.
That's like 12 to 15 planets at a time. It's bad.
Down to specifics, I thought that Han Solo... Okay, essentially what they tried to do was make Han Solo into Obi-Wan Kenobi for this movie.
They failed.
Rey, the girl who takes Luke's place in this movie, she becomes like the mentee to Han Solo, only, and then he dies at the end, thus propelling your story forward. Only the problem is they never spend any time actually developing that relationship. At least the original Star Wars had like a scene or two of Obi-Wan teaching Luke the Force. In this, you didn't have really any... I mean, you had one moment where it looked like Han was about to teach her how to shoot a blaster,
Yeah.
but then...
And then he was like, don't point that thing.
And then it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's really not...
And she figures out how to use a blaster on her own.
Yeah.
There's a moment when it seems like she's about to have like an actual moment with Han, and then it just kind of ends.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. And there's a half-assed love story, too, between her and Finn.
Yeah.
They kind of have a love story. It's more of good friends verging on romance. It could have been done better.
Honestly, that part I thought was kind of similar to the Luke and Leia thing in the first movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, the person getting rescued is in love with the person that they're rescuing. Here you go. So it didn't bug me so much, although yes, for a movie, if we weren't talking about Star Wars, the romance subplot would have just been awful. But for Star Wars, it was actually okay for Star Wars.
For Star Wars. And it is. It's the classic shake and bake, this works recipe for Star Wars. But that's what you want out of a Star Wars movie.
You definitely don't want the prequels.
No, the prequels needed help of a fine kind that I'm not even going to get into it.
There was a lot of action. The action was good. It wasn't like shitty action for action's sake most of the time.
Yeah, we'll clean it up later. So, good things and bad things happen in this movie. At the beginning, they show how hard Rey's life is.
Oh, that was excellently done.
She's a scavenger, so she's scavenging off wrecks from the war 30 years previous. You know, so she's taking junker parts off of junkers and trying to scrape a living and waiting for family that doesn't ever fucking return.
And they give the, setup for eventual backstory, I assume in sequels. Yeah, this is not a great weed.
It stinks.
It really does. But they do a great job of showing how shitty life is for a poor person in this world. She's barely scraping by. She has to risk her life every day for less than enough food to survive on.
And then they do a really good job of showing what it's like for someone to actually doubt the cause they've been brought up to believe in. Because Finn, who is FN string of numbers.
I think it's 2281.
Yeah, FN 2281 or something like that.
He's a stormtrooper.
He's a stormtrooper.
He's not a clone trooper, despite the name. They explain eventually what happened is when he was a baby, the Empire, or whatever they're calling themselves now, essentially just stole him from his family and was like, your name is FN 2281 and you're a stormtrooper.
Yeah. And he watches one of the people he was trained with killed.
Yeah, they make very clear that was his very first battle, and they made sure to show that he didn't hurt anyone in that battle because he's a good guy, and good guys can't possibly have bad pasts.
It was weird. But, and then he saves the resistance fighter who they catch.
Who essentially is the Han Solo of the movie. Before Han Solo comes in.
Up. Yeah.
And then, just before Han Solo does show up, guy disappears.
Yeah.
And you don't see him again until the end of the movie.
But the guy renames FN to whatever, Finn.
Yeah.
Which is a great name for him. I mean, Finn and Jake, all that jazz. But he's a good character. And then he's on Jakar, which is a desert, junker planet.
It essentially looks like Tatooine, but with slightly different technology and aliens. Like Like, the Jawas there have big, like, metal masks instead of normal Jawas.
But, like, so he's trying to find the droid...
BB-8,
which is adorable. It's a little rolling droid with its head that moves around, so it's always on the top.
It's essentially
so
R2,
cute.
but with a ball for a body instead of a can.
And the problem here that I have with this is BB-8 is supposed to be one of a kind, unique, recognizable, and they don't ever really make it feel that way in talking about him.
Yeah, he must be one of a kind.
Open. Well, the guy says he's one of a kind. You know, he's my droid. He's one of a kind. Well,
he's instantly recognizable to people who, at best, probably have a verbal description of him.
Yeah.
BB-8, I mean. So he must be visually distinctive in this universe.
He must be the only one with an orange and white chassis.
But the closest they get to establishing that is when the guy is like, "Oh yeah, he's one of a kind, or he's special, or something like that."
Yeah, it doesn't ever like allude to the fact that he is.
In fact, when he said that, I thought that he was saying that this droid is special because it has the map to Luke Skywalker in it. Not this droid is special because he's a one of a kind and instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
But really, that's got to be the only explanation that makes sense. That BB-8 is a one of a kind droid, because otherwise.
Stop smoking that. It's terrible.
Yes, we can stop smoking this.
Okay.
So let me finish my shot. So BB-8 must be a custom droid of some kind, because there's all these people who, at best, would have like a brief description of him as like he's a ball droid that's like orange and white.
He's a BB droid.
And
he's orange and white.
Well, who knows if even a BB droid is a thing? Maybe he's custom. I don't know. But yeah. And from that, they're able to be like, "Oh, there he is! Found him!" Every fucking time they see him.
Every time
that droid goes somewhere, someone's recognizing him. I think it actually happens 3 different times in the movie.
It happens twice in the same location.
There's 2 people who notice him for the bad guys, and then there's 1 person who notices him for the good guys. Other things about the movie. I did not mind the old actors from the original series. I thought I would.
Yeah. They reprised their roles very well.
They did really good with that stuff. They didn't make them the focus of the movie.
They made them support characters. They made them very good backup support characters.
Yeah.
They reprised their old roles, but they weren't like, "Look, I'm famous. I did this the last time." It was very tastefully done, very well timed, very support character oriented. It wasn't, "Oh, I'm the main character because I was in the original 3. It was, "I'm here to start a new generation of fans."
So, Ewok from Kush Farms Incorporated, not good.
Terrible.
Don't smoke it.
Don't smoke it.
Even for the low price, not worth it.
So not worth it.
Now, to get the taste of that out of our mouth while we finish talking about the movie, we're going to smoke Space Queen from Phat Panda.
We bought it at Greenway.
We got this at Greenway Marijuana for $7.
We like them.
So, another discount joint.
And we've
had Phat Panda on the show before.
We like the brand. It's a good brand.
Oh, that smells like a little citrusy and like herbal tea.
It smells like a lemon balm or a green citrus blend.
Not a very strong scent at all, unlike the Ewok.
It's very soft and mild.
Very tightly packed, so that's probably a good thing. Let's see how this smokes.
I mean, for Christ's sake, they have a better relationship between Finn and Poe than they do between Rey and Han. Done coughing yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And really, they needed to... I'm not saying they needed to, have a half an hour of scenes dedicated to Rey and Han's
They
relationship.
literally needed a 60-second little montage of him teaching her shit.
Or even just, like, a couple points throughout the movie. Just be like,
You know, when she bypassed that stupid thing, him going, good job, kid, rather than going, huh, and continuing on his way.
Or a scene before that, maybe, where they talk about this thing for a moment. But no.
I like the point, though, when she goes, they're talking about something, and she goes, oh, he also installed this, and they both go, and that's a terrible idea.
I honestly think this is that the lack of dialogue heavy scenes is the least Star Wars thing about this Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because, okay, the prequels way overdid it on the talky shit, but at least they still felt like Star Wars in that respect. These movies, it's just like action, 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 and then you get like a 30-second slow scene.
Minute if you're lucky.
And that happens like twice. And that's it. Everything else is just fast, fast, fast.
Okay, so we have to talk about the thing.
Which thing?
The terrible thing that they did.
So Han Solo, fulfilling the Obi-Wan role, gets killed by the big bad at the end.
They killed him!
The big bad...
They killed the puppy!
And the big bad, of course, is his son, Ben Solo, I would guess.
They call him Kyle, I think. Kyle Ren.
Yeah, that's like his
dark
side name. Although he's not a Darth, I don't think.
No, he's not fully trained yet. He can't be a Darth.
And the guy who runs the, whatever the Empire's called now, he's like this giant, but he's also a hologram.
No, he's a hologram.
So he might not actually be giant, or he might be. That's, I guess, a thing we'll find out in the future. There's this really cool bar that's reminiscent of the cantina from Star Wars. That whole scene is done really well.
Yeah. I liked the little character. Oh, what was her name?
The woman who ran the bar.
Yeah. Let me look. I will find it.
In that part of the movie, Rey gets Luke's old lightsaber. Not the green one that he made, but the blue one he inherited from Obi-Wan, who got it from his father. Which doesn't really make sense. She even says, I'm not going to explain it right now. We'll talk about it later or something. So presumably they'll explain it in another movie. But I don't think they could come up with an explanation that isn't bullshitty. Because that fucking lightsaber fell 10 billion feet down through Cloud City.
It's a lightsaber, shut up.
I don't think Luke...
It's a lightsaber, shut up.
I don't think Luke was at the time focusing on keeping his lightsaber from shattering when it hit the floor. 10,000 stories below. Or from going out into the clouds and just, like, being at the core of the planet or something. So, whatever explanation they end up giving, I don't think I'm going to find it anything other than bullshitty.
I like how in this show they did a very good job. In this episode, they did a very good job of... It's called the First Order. The First Order, that is They did a very, very, very good job of...
That's the replacement for the Empire.
Yeah. They did a very, very good job of making characters feel epic and old and ancient and all that jazz. Like, I felt like, Chewbacca doesn't look like he aged at all. And it makes that race feel ancient. And they seem to be. Yeah. And there's, like, the lady who runs the bar. They said she's over 1,000 years old. And I sat there and went, and then saw her and went, okay, makes sense. Because she's adorable.
And the effects. Oh, the effects were good.
They did so good. It
was almost all done practically. Like, anything you can do practically.
Anything they could do practically, they did practically. The makeup
including the ships.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't think would make that much of a difference.
But it's huge.
But it makes the difference between feeling like you're watching a cartoon and feeling like you're watching some fucking spaceships, you know?
Yeah. And the other thing I liked is they did such a good job with character makeup.
Yeah, they did.
They made background characters look real and not cheesy. They did a good job with toning. They did a good job of showing, the light and the dark of people. You can tell when someone's a bad guy. They did a very good job of representing that. And that's very classic Star Wars, too.
I think this movie is very much what people wanted when Phantom Menace came out. I'm one of the people who went to Phantom Menace when it came out in the theater and was like, new Star Wars, oh, it's amazing. But then it was like, it was the Phantom Menace.
We had an moment.
Honestly, the best thing to come out of Phantom Menace is that Star Wars racer game.
The pod racer game?
Which we just played at the
We
theater.
also played. I did better than she did, and I'd never played it before.
Yeah, I play it all the time whenever I'm at the theater, and I still suck at it after all these years. Anything else about the movie? We talked about the effects. We talked about the plot.
It could have ended sooner.
Yes, it did have a very Lord of the Rings kind of ending thing, where it ends
Rey.
at the perfect moment when Rey and Leia, they're hugging while everyone else is celebrating.
Because they're sad, because Han got killed by his own fucking son.
And at that moment, movie could have ended and it would have been perfect.
It would have.
Then
it would have set you up so nicely for the next movie.
Then R2 comes back to life and they get the map to Luke. Another good place to end. End on a cliffhanger. You don't know if she's going to go find Luke or not, or what's going to happen on the way. Maybe the next movie's going to be all about that. Maybe it's going to be the first 7 seconds of the next movie. You don't know. It would have been a good place to end. But then they keep going. Another good ending, and they keep going again until they get to the point where she actually sees Luke Skywalker. And proffers his lightsaber toward him, and then it ends
with them staring at each other
before any more dialogue happens. Yeah.
It just very smoky. I'm satisfied with the movie as a whole. There are things that if I was the writer, I would have done differently. But I can say that about every movie we watch.
Yeah, and it's there's definitely a difference between I think I would have done something differently and I think the thing that they did was bad. And for the most part, most of the complaints I have with the movie are things
that we would have done differently if we were the ones doing it.
Yeah. And very few are things like needing at least 1 or 2 more scenes of Han Solo being a mentor toward Rey. That's bad.
I would have liked to see Poe and Han interact a little too. You know?
Or maybe just not have Poe at all, because his character literally is Han Solo for the 10 minutes of the movie when Han Solo's not in it yet.
And then he takes up Luke's role later as being the ace pilot.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he'll be in future movies and take up Han's role proper.
I would like to see more of that character. I wish I saw more of that character in this movie.
He definitely. I'm also hoping that Chewie doesn't go bye-bye because, Chewie is awesome. I love Chewie. And Rey seems to be inheriting C-3PO. I mean, for lack of a better term, she seems to be inheriting that robot.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens with that. But I think we're about done with Space Queen here.
We are nearly done.
And Ewok was terrible.
The high off of both of them, though, together is
pretty nice.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I'm not super, super high, but I'm well baked. If I was brownies, I'd be done.
It's doing a lot of the things for me that weed normally does for me, and that's helpful. I am having a better time focusing than I usually do.
Scratching feels nice.
It's made my memory a little bit
sharper.
Yeah.
So yes,
I usually see a movie and then afterwards I have I can't even tell you half the movie that happened.
She baked before we went to. If she doesn't, she can't sit through it.
I'm not noticing anything spectacular from either of these weeds. No super high, no real relaxation kind of thing. Just a little mellowness and.
So maybe use them as a nice after work. Don't want to be stressed about work anymore. Relaxation thing.
Or if you just need to focus for something, and you're the kind of person who weed helps you focus.
Yeah. So, and on that note, see Star Wars.
Yeah, if you like Star Wars, see The Force Awakens. You're gonna like it better than the prequels. If you don't like Star Wars, see The Force Awakens because it's a pretty good action movie.
And you never know, it might change your mind. Yeah. If you like space epics and a little bit of space cowboyiness, then go see it.
And if you are at the Crock Pot in Port Orchard, despite the clever name, do not buy Ewok. If you're at Greenway in Port Orchard, do pick up some Space Queen. I mean, it's nothing spectacular, but for the price...
Or any Phat Panda products, we have not had a problem with them yet.
For the price, it is definitely... It's an okay weed. All right.
And it's got a really cool wrapper. Show them the wrapper again.
Space Queen.
It's got a nebula on it. I like nebulas. So, see Star Wars. May the Force be with you, and we will see you next time.
May the Force be with you.